My roommate found the campus bully semen floating in her cup. I urged her to call the cops, but she just blushed, looking all shy and coy. Jax likes me way too much. Later, when she was beaten and imprisoned by him, she ended up hating me instead. It's all your fault. Why didn't you insist that I file a police report? After being killed by her psychotic ass, I woke up back on the day she asked me, "What is this stuff in the cup?" This time, I don't know shit. I ain't saying a word. I died in the abandoned cafeteria of the old campus annex. My clothes were ripped to shreds, my body a map of purple bruises and open wounds. Tiffany stood over me, laughing like a maniac. "Sarah, you deserve this. This is all on you," she screamed, her voice cracking. "If you had just pushed me harder back then, if you had forced me to call the cops, I wouldn't be this broken piece of trash if it weren't for you." She doused the rotting floorboards with gasoline, the pungent smell choking my last breath. Then, she flicked a Zippo lighter and tossed it onto my chest. Whoosh! The flames roared to the ceiling, consuming everything. I burned to death, screaming in agony. I snapped my eyes open, gasping for air. "Sarah, what the hell is floating in my cup?" Tiffany's confused voice pulled me back from the phantom heat of the fire. I looked around. The library. The sunlight. I was back. I was actually back. The universe must have thought my death was too bullshit to let slide. I had been reborn. I looked at Tiffany, then at her Stanley cup. Inside, swirling in the iced coffee, was a thick, cloudy white substance. It wasn't creamer. In my past life, I told her exactly what it was and dragged her to check the security cameras. That was my death sentence. This time, I shrugged, looking completely blank. "I don't know, Tiff. Probably just someone pranking you with expired milk or something." Tiffany looked disgusted, scanning the room. She grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "Sarah, come with me to the security office. I feel like someone's watching me. It's creepy." I almost laughed out loud. Last time, she called me a buzzkill for wanting to check the footage. Now she was scared? "Sorry, Tiff," I said, pulling my arm away and clutching my stomach. "I'm feeling super sick." "Cramps, I can't go." Tiffany frowned, her main character syndrome kicking in. "You were fine 2 seconds ago. How are you suddenly sick?" "I don't know, maybe it was lunch. Just go without me." I put my head down on the desk, faking weakness. Tiffany huffed and walked out, looking back every few steps. As soon as she was gone, I packed my shit. This time I'm staying out of it. I'm going to watch these two psychos destroy each other too. Minutes later, she walked back and the fear was gone. She was beaming. Trailing behind her was Jax. Jax was the campus nightmare, a rich kid with anger issues and a rap sheet his daddy paid to disappear his claim to fame. He smashed a beer bottle over a TA's head for telling him to be quiet during a late-night study session. He walked away scot-free. Because of that, every wannabe gangster and frat pledge worshipped him. In my last life, when we saw on the footage that Jax had jerked off into her cup, I told her to call the police immediately. Being targeted by a predator like Jax ends in tragedy, but I underestimated Tiffany. She wasn't a victim. She was a fan. She didn't call the cops. She blushed. She thought it was romantic, a twisted, dark romance trope like in those trashy novels she read. "Why would Jax put his stuff in my cup?" she had said, looking at me with condescension. "He's obsessed with me." I was disgusted, but because I pushed her to report him later, when Jax was beating her black and blue, she blamed me. She convinced herself that if I had just persuaded her better, she wouldn't be in that situation. She blamed me for her own stupidity, and then she helped him kill me. Not this time. This time, I'm pouring gasoline on the fire. "I thought you wanted to check the cameras?" I asked, keeping my face neutral. Tiffany giggled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. I ran into Jax looking for a seat. "The cameras can wait." She looked at me. "Sarah, cramps gone?" I shook my head. "Nope. Still dying. Going to the campus clinic." Tiffany looked relieved. She grabbed Jax's arm. "Jax, sit here. My roommate is leaving." She even walked me to the library entrance, acting like the sweet, caring angel in front of him. That night, she didn't come back to the dorm. She posted a photo on Instagram, taken. Tagged Jax. I smiled at my phone in the dark. "Go ahead, Tiffany. Date the devil. Let's see who you blame when the leash gets too tight. Under Jax's influence, Tiffany turned into a total train wreck. Skipping classes, getting into fights, disappearing for days. The other roommates tried to talk to her. Tiffany just rolled her eyes, adjusting her microskirt and smudged eyeliner.
You guys are so boring, she sneered.
This is what a real college life looks like. It's passionate. It's raw. I just watched, counting down the days. One afternoon, she stormed into the dorm, slamming a stack of tickets on the table. Here, Jax is throwing a birthday bash at Club Onyx. You're all coming. The other girls gasped. Onyx? Isn't it the place with the $5,000 VIP tables? Even if they hated Jax, money talks. Tiffany flaunted her new acrylic nails. It's nothing. Just chump change for him. She tossed the tickets at us like she was feeding pigeons. Show up.
Don't embarrass me.
I don't know one roommate. Emily hesitated. It's kinda sketchy.
God.
You guys are such losers. Tiffany spat. No wonder you're single. I stepped up, snatching a ticket. I'm in, I said, grinning. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Tiffany smirked.
See?
Sarah gets it. The others followed my lead. I stared at Tiffany's back as she left to spend another night with Jax. She didn't know about Jax's white moonlight, the girl he was actually obsessed with, Monica. The party was going to be the night Tiffany met Monica. It was the night Jax would beat Tiffany's face into a pulp for the first time. I wasn't going to miss the show. Saturday night. The dorm smelled like cheap hairspray and desperation. Put some makeup on, Tiffany ordered, waving a beauty blender around. Jax invited his frat brothers. They're hot. Don't make me look bad by looking like librarians. The girls dodged her. We're good.
Tiff.
Tiffany huffed and pulled 3 dresses out of a bag.
Fine.
But wear these. I bought them for you. I took the dress. It was a piece of sequin trash that looked like it cost $5 on Shine. It was barely a shirt, with a tacky heart-shaped cutout right over the cleavage. Tiff, this barely covers my ass, Emily said, holding hers up. It's called body positivity. Tiffany lectured. Stop being such prudes. You have to show off the goods if you want a man like Jax. I knew exactly what she was doing. She wanted us to look like cheap hookers, so she would look like a queen by comparison. You make a great point, Tiff, I said, acting thoughtful. So, what are you wearing? Let's see it. The room went quiet. Tiffany froze. Oh, just something old from my closet. Nothing special.
Come on, I pressed, show us.
She knew she was cornered. Reluctantly, she pulled a garment bag from her closet. It was a stunning red designer dress. Knee-length, elegant lace, expensive fabric. It screamed, classy girlfriend. Compared to the glittery rag she gave us, it was a joke. Emily laughed, dry and sharp. Wow, Tiff, so much for body positivity. You're covering up pretty good while we're supposed to flash everyone? Tiffany shoved the dress back. Wear whatever you want. I was just trying to help. While Tiffany went to the bathroom to layer on her fake tan, I gathered the girls. Listen, I whispered, this night is going to be a shit show. Jax is dangerous. Text your boyfriends or friends to call you at 11 p.m. with an emergency, so we have an exit strategy. They nodded, looking terrified. We got ready. We wore our own clothes, jeans, cute tops, nothing trashy. When Tiffany came back, fully glammed up, her face fell. Why do you guys look so vanilla? We like vanilla, I said. She was pissed that we weren't going to be her ugly ducklings, but it was too late to change. The ride to Club Onyx was dead silent except for Tiffany talking about herself. Jax rented the entire top floor, she bragged from the passenger seat of his black SUV. Apparently his ex tried to get in last year, so security's tighter now. My eyes flicked up. There it was. The first crack. Jax's ex.
No.
Not ex. Obsession. Monica. When we pulled up to Club Onyx, Tiffany practically floated out of the car. The neon lights reflected off her red dress, while she clung to Jax's arm like she'd already married him in her head. The line outside wrapped around the block. People stared, whispered. Some frat guys even called out, "Yo, Jax." He ignored all of them. His attention stayed locked on his phone. Not Tiffany.
His phone.
that made her smile falter for exactly half a second.
Good.
Inside, the club looked like a billionaire's fever dream. Crystal chandeliers, gold lighting, a dance floor pulsing hard enough to shake your ribs. Girls swarmed Jax instantly. Tiffany stiffened beside him, but he casually wrapped an arm around her waist. Possessive, like showing ownership over a pet. Her mood recovered immediately. God, she was pathetic. Our table alone probably cost more than a semester of tuition. Bottles arrived every few minutes. Tiffany kept glancing around to make sure people noticed her sitting beside Jax. Emily leaned toward me. You were right, she muttered. This feels off.
Because it was.
Everyone here acted scared of him. Not impressed.
Scared.
At around 10:30, Tiffany got drunk enough to become unbearable. She climbed halfway onto Jax's lap, giggling loudly. Baby, your friends are so boring, she whined. Tell them to loosen up. Jax barely looked at her. His gaze stayed fixed on the entrance, waiting. Then the room shifted. You could literally feel it. The music kept playing, but the energy changed. Heads turned. A girl walked in wearing a black satin dress. Simple, elegant. No heavy makeup. No fake lashes. No desperate performance. Monica. And suddenly Tiffany looked cheap. Jax stood up so fast Tiffany almost fell off the couch. The entire table went silent. Monica stopped when she saw him. Her expression tightened immediately. Oh my God, Tiffany whispered. Who's that? No one answered her. Jax walked straight past Tiffany like she didn't exist. Took you long enough, he said to Monica. Monica looked annoyed. I said I might come.
Yeah, well.
You came.
His voice had changed. Softer.
Careful. I almost laughed. So, the campus psycho could act human after all. Tiffany slowly stood. You didn't tell me your ex was coming. Jax didn't even look back at her. She's not my ex. Monica rolled her eyes. Don't start. The humiliation hit Tiffany all at once. Everyone at the table noticed it. The frat guys suddenly got very interested in their drinks. One girl coughed to hide a laugh. Tiffany forced a smile and grabbed Jax's arm. Baby, aren't you introducing me? Wrong move. The entire club seemed to freeze. Jax looked down at her hand, gripping him. Then at her face. Very slowly. Take your hand off me. Ice cold. Tiffany's smile twitched. Jax. I said take your hand off me.
Monica sighed.
You're embarrassing yourself. That did it. Tiffany snapped. Who the hell are you supposed to be? She barked. You think you're special because he used to stalk you or something? The second the word stalk hit the air, Jax's expression changed. Dangerous. Deadly calm. Monica looked furious now too. You're his new toy? Monica asked. Cute. Tiffany laughed too loudly. At least I'm the current one.
Crack.
The slap echoed over the music. Monica had hit her.
Hard.
Tiffany stumbled sideways into the table. And Jax. Jax grabbed Tiffany by the throat. Not enough to choke. Enough to control. Enough to terrify. The music suddenly stopped. Nobody moved. You don't talk to her like that, he said quietly. Tiffany's eyes filled with tears instantly. Jax. He shoved her backward. She crashed into the glass table. Bottles shattered everywhere. One piece sliced her cheek open. Blood trickled down her face. And still she looked at him, like she wanted him to comfort her. I felt physically ill. Emily grabbed my wrist under the table, trembling. We should leave. Not yet, I whispered, because I remembered this part. Last life, this was where I stepped in. I pulled Tiffany away. I screamed at Jax. I threatened police. That made him hate me early. This time, I stayed seated. Tiffany started crying. Why are you doing this to me? Jax looked disgusted. Because you forgot your place. The entire club stayed silent. No one defended her. Not one person. Because everyone here already knew the rules. Monica crossed her arms. You always pick the clingy ones. Jax smirked faintly. They're entertaining. Tiffany's face broke. Actually broke. That was the exact moment. She realized she was never the female lead in some dark romance fantasy. She was comic relief. disposable. And the terrifying part? Even after all this, she still loved him. I could see it in her eyes. That obsession wasn't gone. It had just turned desperate. Jax finally waved security over. Get her cleaned up, like she was spilled wine. 2 guards lifted Tiffany up while she sobbed hysterically. As they dragged her away, her eyes locked onto mine across the club. For 1 second, I thought she might finally understand that I had tried to save her once. Instead, hatred twisted across her bloody face, like this was somehow my fault already. I smiled faintly and raised my drink. Good luck, Tiffany. You picked this life yourself. Tiffany disappeared into the bathroom with security. 10 minutes later, she came back with makeup caked over the cut on her cheek and murder in her eyes. Not toward Jax. Toward Monica. Of course. Girls like Tiffany never blamed the man destroying them. That would mean admitting they weren't special enough to change him. So instead, they blamed the woman he actually wanted. Monica had already lost interest in the entire scene. She sat beside Jax, scrolling through her phone while he poured her a drink personally. Meanwhile, Tiffany had to fetch her own napkins to stop the bleeding on her face. The contrast was brutal. Emily tugged my sleeve again.
Sarah.
Seriously, let's go. I checked my phone. 10:57 p.m. Right on schedule, Emily's boyfriend called with a fake emergency. Then another roommate's phone rang. Then another. The girls practically launched themselves out of their seats. Oh no, I said flatly. Guess everybody has emergencies tonight. Tiffany looked panicked. You're leaving? Looks like it. Her voice sharpened instantly.
No.
Stay. Interesting. She didn't want witnesses to leave. Or maybe she was scared to be alone. Either way, not my problem. Emily grabbed her purse. Feel better, Tiffany. The girls vanished toward the elevator like prisoners escaping a sinking ship. I stood too. But before I could leave, Tiffany suddenly grabbed my wrist.
Hard.
Her acrylic nails dug into my skin. Don't leave me here alone. The desperation in her voice almost sounded human. Almost. I looked down at her hand. In my last life, I would have stayed. Tried to protect her. Tried to de-escalate things. And eventually ended up burned alive for my efforts. So I peeled her fingers off me one by one. You're Jax's girlfriend, I said calmly. Why would you need me? Her face paled. Because deep down she already knew the answer. Jax wasn't safe. He never was. Before she could speak again, Monica suddenly looked up from her phone. Oh my God, she laughed softly. This is the roommate? Tiffany stiffened. Jax glanced over lazily. Monica tilted her head, examining me. You're the only normal-looking person here. I try. She probably hates me, Tiffany snapped. Monica ignored her completely. That irritated Tiffany more than if she'd been insulted. Invisible people always lose their minds when they aren't acknowledged. Then Monica noticed the red marks on my wrist from Tiffany grabbing me. Her smile widened slightly. She murmured. So she's clingy with girls too. Tiffany exploded. I'm literally standing right here. A few frat guys snorted into their drinks. Wrong audience. Humiliation piled onto humiliation. Jax finally spoke. Go home, Tiffany. The table went quiet again. Her lips trembled. What? You're ruining the vibe. The cruelty was almost impressive. No yelling. No rage. Just complete emotional annihilation. Tiffany stared at him like she'd been shot. You said you loved me. I said you were fun. Monica burst out laughing. And that broke Tiffany's brain. She lunged across the table. Not at Jax. At Monica. Drinks crashed everywhere. Tiffany grabbed Monica's hair, screaming obscenities, while Monica immediately swung a champagne bottle into her forehead. Crack. Blood splattered across the white couch. Girls screamed. Phones came out instantly. Of course, nobody helped. Rich kids loved violence as long as it happened to somebody else. Jax stood up slowly while Tiffany writhed on the floor, clutching her head. For one insane second, I thought he might help her. Instead, he looked annoyed. You hit Monica? Tiffany looked up at him in disbelief. She hit me first, and that single word crushed whatever sanity she had left. tears mixed with blood and mascara as she laughed hysterically. Actually hysterically. "You're insane," she whispered. Jax crouched in front of her. "No," he said softly. "You just thought you were special." Then he stood and walked away with Monica.
Just like that.
Leaving Tiffany bleeding on the floor while the club staff awkwardly cleaned around her. Nobody approached her. Nobody comforted her. Because associating with a discarded girl was social suicide. I grabbed my purse. This time, Tiffany didn't stop me. She just sat there shaking, staring at the elevator where Jax had disappeared. I should have left. Really. But curiosity won. So when Tiffany finally stumbled toward the bathroom alone, I followed quietly. Inside, she was gripping the sink so hard her knuckles had turned white. Her reflection looked horrifying. Smeared mascara. Blood in her hairline. Foundation separating from tears. She saw me through the mirror. And suddenly smiled. Not a sane smile. The exact same smile she wore right before burning me alive. "Sarah," she said softly. Every instinct in my body screamed danger. "You knew this would happen." I stayed calm.
No.
"I just know what kind of person Jax is. You wanted this to happen to me." There it was.
The blame.
Always the blame. I folded my arms. "You're the one who thought a guy jerking off into your coffee was romantic." Her expression twitched violently. "You're jealous." I almost laughed. Of what? Jax chose me. I looked at the blood dripping down her neck, the swelling bruise forming on her forehead, the desperation in her eyes. And I realized something horrifying. Even now, even after tonight,
She still believed that.
She stepped closer. "He'll come back," she whispered. "You'll see." Then her eyes sharpened. "But if you try to ruin this for me again, not this time, again." A chill crawled down my spine.
Tiffany remembered something.
Maybe not fully, but enough. Enough to hate me before I'd even done anything. I tilted my head and smirked. "I don't know what you're talking about." For a second, Tiffany just stared at me through the mirror. Then she laughed. Not loud, not dramatic.
Soft.
Unstable. "You always do that," she murmured. My stomach tightened.
What?
Act innocent. Her eyes locked onto mine in the reflection. "Like your hands are clean." Interesting. Very interesting. Fragments. That was all she had. Emotional residue from the last timeline. No actual memories, just instincts. Hatred without context. I leaned against the bathroom counter casually. "Tiff, you're drunk, bleeding, and your psycho boyfriend just humiliated you in front of half the campus. Maybe go home and sleep it off." The word humiliated sliced straight through her ego. Her face twisted. "He didn't humiliate me," she snapped immediately. "Monica manipulated him."
Ah, yes.
Delusion phase 2. I almost admired the commitment. "He shoved you through a table. He was angry. He told you that you ruined the vibe." That bitch Monica was provoking him. Every excuse came out faster now, frantic and automatic. Classic. A woman desperately trying to tape together her fantasy while it collapsed in real time. Il était rentre. Then I delivered the final knife. "You know what the saddest part is?" Tiffany froze. "You still think he loves you." Silence. Pure silence. Then, smack. Her palm cracked across my face. The bathroom went still. A couple girls near the stalls gasped. I slowly turned my head back toward her. Tiffany was breathing hard now, eyes wet and wild. "There," she hissed. "Now we're even." Even. My expression almost slipped. That wasn't random. That was definitely from before. In the last life, right before she helped Jax tie me up in the abandoned annex, I begged her to stop. She slapped me and said, "Now we're even." Cold prickles crawled down my arms. She remembered more than I thought. But unlike her, I actually learned something from dying. So instead of retaliating, I smiled. Then I reached into my purse, pulled out my phone, and pressed play. Tiffany's voice echoed through the bathroom speakers from a recording I'd started the second I followed her inside. "If you try to ruin this for me again." Her face drained of color. The girls by the stalls immediately started whispering. One of them recognized her. "Wait, Isn't it the girl Jax threw into the table? And she's threatening people now. Tiffany panicked instantly. You recorded me? MHM. You sneaky little bitch. She lunged for my phone. I stepped aside easily. She nearly slipped on the wet tile floor. The girls openly laughed this time. And that humiliation hit harder than any slap. Tiffany's face turned scarlet. You think you're smarter than me now? She spat. No, I said calmly. I just think I survived better. Her expression flickered. Again, that weird recognition, like the words meant something deeper. Then the bathroom door opened. Jax walked in. The entire room froze. Even the random girls stopped breathing, because Jax looked furious. Not loud furious. The worst kind. Controlled. His gaze swept over Tiffany first. Then me. Then the phone in my hand. What's going on? Tiffany instantly switched expressions. Tears flooded her eyes. Sarah's recording me and trying to turn everyone against me. She whispered shakily. Amazing. The victim act activated in under half a second. Jax held his hand out toward me. Phone. In my last life, I would have gotten scared here. Backed down. Handed it over. This time, I smiled. Come take it. The bathroom went dead silent. One girl actually muttered, holy shit, because nobody talked to Jax like that. Ever. Jax stared at me for a long moment. Then he smiled. And somehow that was worse. You got guts, he said softly. No, I replied. I just don't worship trash. The entire atmosphere turned lethal. Tiffany looked horrified. The girls near the sinks backed away immediately. Even Monica, who had appeared behind Jax at some point, raised an eyebrow slightly. Jax stepped toward me slowly. Tiffany, he said without taking his eyes off me. Your roommate's funny. Tiffany forced a shaky laugh. Yeah. Then Jax stopped directly in front of me. Too close. I think, he murmured. You forgot to be scared. I looked straight into his eyes. No. I remember exactly why I should be. After that night at Club Onyx, everything spiraled fast. Videos of Tiffany getting thrown through the table spread across campus by morning. People clipped the part where Jax told her she ruined the vibe and turned it into a meme. Tiffany stopped going to class for a week. Then she came back pretending nothing happened. But the illusion was dead now. Everyone knew she wasn't Jax's queen. She was just another girl he used up for entertainment. Meanwhile, Jax started paying attention to me instead. Not romantically. Predatorily. He'd block my path in hallways. Sit too close during parties. Smirk whenever people got nervous around him. Like he was waiting for me to crack first. But I never did. Because unlike everyone else, I knew exactly what he was. And monsters lose power when someone stops being afraid of them. The real collapse happened a month later. Monica finally got tired of Jax's obsession and publicly exposed him online. Screenshots, voice messages, photos of bruises from his outbursts, stories from other girls he'd terrorized. The post exploded. Suddenly, all the things his daddy paid to bury came crawling back up. The TA assault, the bar fights, the stalking, the threats. Girls started talking. Then more girls. Then one of Jax's old hookups posted security footage from a party where he dragged her upstairs while she was barely conscious. The campus police couldn't ignore it anymore. Neither could his family. Jax got arrested outside his frat house at 3 a.m. screaming threats at reporters while half the student body watched from dorm windows recording him on their phones. The mighty campus king finally looked exactly what he was. Pathetic. Tiffany completely lost her mind after that. She spammed paragraphs online defending him, claiming everyone was misunderstanding their intense love. People mocked her mercilessly. Then Monica dropped the final bomb. She released screenshots of Tiffany helping lure drunk freshman girls toward Jax's parties after knowing exactly what kind of person he was. That ended any sympathy instantly. The school expelled Tiffany quietly before the semester ended. Nobody protested. Nobody cared. A few weeks later, I saw her one last time near the old campus annex. Funny. The same place she murdered me in the last timeline. She looked awful. Cheap extensions, hollow eyes, skin destroyed from stress and sleepless nights. When she saw me, Hatred flashed across her face automatically. But underneath it?
Fear.
Because deep down, some broken part of her remembered. Not fully. Just enough to know she lost. You happy now? She asked bitterly. I looked at the abandoned building behind her. The phantom smell of gasoline almost crawled back into my lungs. Then I smiled. No, I said honestly. Just alive. For the first time, Tiffany had no comeback. She stood there silently while I walked away. And this time, nobody followed me.